The Member of Parliament for Abetifi, Peter Wiafi Prepra, is taking the Bank of Ghana to court. Why? He says the recent directive for all banks to stop dealing in dollars is a directive that, according to him, is wrong.
I'm not going to be by myself. I'm going to be joined by AGI, Association of Ghana Industries, Ghana Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Ghana Association of Bankers, and Ghanaian Union Traders Association, that's GUTA. And we'll make sure that we get, for the sake of Ghana, we'll make sure we win the case for the sake of Ghana.
The issue of dollarization has raised a lot of concerns in the past. Now, a few months with Deputy Education Minister Samuel Okudzeto-Blakwa directing all pre-tertiary and tertiary institutions to stop charging in dollars. However, the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority says it cannot stop charging in dollars. This is today's big story. My name is Brighton Nanfo. Thanks so much for staying there. The Bank of Ghana, in an effort to save the depreciating cedi, directed all the banks to stop dealing in dollar currency. The decision has received mixed reaction from both local and foreign traders. The Member of Parliament for Abetifi, Peter Wiafi Prepra, would not take the issue kindly. Now, speaking to Joy News, he mentioned that the Bank of Ghana's decision is insensitive to the plight of a Ghanaian.
The foreigners are still doing their own thing. So which means these Bank of Ghana rules are only affecting Ghanaians. This business of you can't charge in this thing. The foreign hotels are allowed to charge in dollars. The British High Commission, Kofi Kapito said it yesterday, are charging dollars. That's the British government. They're charging dollars in Ghana for a British visa. How come? They're not charging pounds, dollars apparently. According to Kofi Kapito, I don't have the documents as it. But what I'm saying is that they're not charging cedis anyway. Now, what I'm saying is that if you as a country say everything should be in cedis, why don't you force them? Why don't we start off, whenever we're doing anything, why don't we start off with the foreigners? Why do we start off with the Ghanaians? They haven't sent BNI to any foreigner. But they've sent BNI to Cow Lane, and I've seen them around. You know, they've sent them to Ghanaians. Why? Oh, why?
It's not ending there. He is intimating the situation would only increase the level of unemployment in the country.
Come out of Parliament and you see poverty, and you see youth unemployment. Isn't it very recently the graduates? They've now formed themselves into association of graduate, is it unemployed something? And so we should, if a foreigner wants to come and employ these very people, we should say, no. Because Ghana, we're doing some cedi business, so we're frightening investors away. Please don't frighten. You know Abdul Malik Kokubaku, he said it. He said money is a coward. It hates controversy. And it's very right. When there's something, this cedi dollar, we don't want that dollar, they want it. Then people say, hey, look, Ghana, there's a problem. When somebody is standing there saying that some dwarfs, do you know that statement of this thing has reached Washington? There's some juju and magic, and so do you really think a serious investor is going to invest in a country where a pastor is conjuring whatever for the exchange rates to change? Let us not be a laughing stock.
That is his views and opinion, but he is confident he and his team will win the case against the Bank of Ghana when they go to court.
When an investor is investing, they don't think of MPP and DC. They just say African governments or Ghanaian governments. So this would affect, even if MPP get in, it would affect them because people say, how do we know there is not this? You know what I mean? We're all sitting here in Parliament, 275 of us. Why can't we all say, hey, no? So the point is that if there's not that trust, you won't get the investment. So I'm hoping that either I win the case or before even the case comes, Bank of Ghana realized that no, they made a mistake and should be big enough to say, oh, in fact, as for this one, yes, and then as for this one, no. And in fact, I want to say that I'm not going to be by myself. I'm going to be joined by AGI, Association of Ghana Industries, Ghana Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Ghana Association of Bankers, and Ghanaian Union Traders Association, that's GUTA. And we'll make sure that we get, for the sake of Ghana, we'll make sure we win the case for the sake of Ghana.
Let's see if he will win the court case. But while he's threatening legal battle, the Education Ministry is also warning all pre-tertiary and tertiary institutions against fixing, charging, and demanding payment of fees in foreign currencies. The directive follows the Bank of Ghana's new measures on the use of foreign currencies. Deputy Education Minister Okudzato Ablakwa, in a statement, indicated that all public and private educational institutions are to comply with the directive, and very soon we'll be speaking to him to indeed see what exactly and if he can fix that directive. But that is not all. The Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority has meanwhile justified its decision for all foreign shipping line owners to pay fees and charges owed the authority in foreign currencies. The PR officer of the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, Joanna Ada, says the decision is backed by PNDC Law 160, and she said that establishes the authority. We'll also try and get her to clarify exactly why they will have to continue to charge those fees in dollars. Right, so let me see if I can speak to the Deputy Education Minister, Samuel Okudzato Ablakwa. Mr. Ablakwa, thanks so much for speaking to us. Well, Okudzato Ablakwa is yet to join the phone lines, but the Ghana Port and Harbours Authority has joined or defended its decision to charge in dollars. Samson is the executive secretary. Asaki is the executive secretary of the Ghana Association of Importers and Exporters. He just joined me. Samson, great to have you there. And sure, you are receiving your receipt, if that is how you call it, with the fees being charged in dollars. Is that the situation? And how is the GPHA justifying its decision to charge in dollars?
Yeah, thank you, Nana, and thank you for joining us for having me this evening. The issue is that what is happening currently in the country is that the Bank of Ghana has given a directive that they of themselves cannot even hold themselves accountable, but rather want to use the innocent Ghanaians and therefore to achieve their aim. Indeed, after today, yesterday, Tuesday, the Ghana Revenue Authority, let me link it to custom, where importers and exporters of this country are paid duty before they export or before they clear their goods from the port. What is happening is that the importers, as we speak, anybody who has paid duty yesterday and today are supposed to pay duty in the dollar equivalent. That tells that the Bank of Ghana, which is the government institution, and the GPHA or Ghana Revenue Authority, which is the government institution, started trading in the dollar issue. Now, if government is trading in foreign currency, how dare that government is not saying that importers and exporters cannot do business in a dollar, or therefore cannot withdraw more than 10,000 currencies as they say? Before you can talk about someone who, you need to make sure your home is clean.
Right.
He who seeks equity must come with clean hands, as the law says. So therefore, we think the governor of Bank of Ghana does not keep his house clear, and therefore just wanted to use the innocent or the near importer, the Ghanaian importer, just use them as an escape good, like someone would say in the media.
Has the Port Authority explained to importers and exporters that the law establishing it, PNDC Law 160, urges them to charge, especially foreign vessels, in dollars?
No, there's no way. And according to the Bank of Ghana, which is the custodian of the Ghanaian money, therefore, we think that any decision or any transaction that has to be done in the country has to be done in the Ghanaian city. Therefore, if the custom or the TPH or other different agencies are charging in dollar, it's a violation of the Bank of Ghana law. And therefore, we think the Bank of Ghana to start arresting those people before they come over to anybody who's transacting business in it. Indeed, everybody knows that if you pay duty to the Bank of to the Ghana Revenue Authority, you pay to government, and therefore, if government is charging you in the dollar equivalent, therefore anybody should be done to carry his business or her business in the dollar equivalent. Therefore, we want to appeal to government that the Bank of Ghana of its own does not even hold its own house or does not clean its own house to make sure that everybody complies with this directive. Indeed, we in the important export association knows that we deal with the dollar, we deal with foreign currency because we deal with the international transactions, but not in the locality. And therefore, we are even fighting the different lines agency. Those who make sure if an importer comes just for handling charges, you're supposed to pay in dollar or dollar equivalent. If I'm supposed to pay 200 Ghana cedis and the super line is saying that pay $200 before the release is given to you, it shows that at the end of the day, the importer will end up paying 400 Ghana cedis or even more. You understand what I'm talking about?
Samson, you are the port. Explain this to me. The port authority is saying that foreign vessels will have to transact business in dollars, but Ghanaian vessels will do that in Ghanaian cities. Is that the situation now?
Not at all. What I'm saying is that, right? What I'm saying is that the foreign vessels will trade in dollar when an importer travels from here to Dubai, when an importer travels from here to US, when an importer travels from here to UK, when an importer travels from here to China. That is why you pay speak in dollar. But when I'm coming to do a release at the shipping agency or at the shipping lines agency in the country, the principals are over there. You pay for free before you see the cargo to this country. With that one, if I pay for free, they say it's dollar over there. We are affected. But not when we are coming for release and they say pay for handling charges, it's return in city. That is what we want the Ghana Port and Harbour Authority to understand. That even though it doesn't mean that Ghana Port and Harbour charges the vessel owners when anytime they are in the anchorage. You know, anytime the vessel comes to Ghana and they haven't come to bed, but they are within the waters or the territories of Ghanaian boundary, then TPH is charging them until when they beg and start the charging before the leave. Doesn't mean that Ghana Port and Harbour Authority is standing in dollars. Then so Ghana Port and Harbour Authority to come out to explain to the Bank of Ghana that anytime the foreign vessels find themselves within the anchorage, coming to bed before they discharge the goods or the cargo that they are bringing to this country, they charge them in dollars, and therefore they are supposed to also charge the customers who give them the cargo for them to carry to this country in dollars. But if Ghana Port and Harbour Authority is charging in cities, therefore we expect them to also do transactions in cities. Indeed, they have their agencies here, and therefore the agencies are the shipping agencies and ship owners are in Ghana. That's what we are talking about. But when TPH is saying it in dollars, definitely just to think dollars. So it's clearly TPH and the ship owners are also, the foreign ship owners are also in clear violation of our law. Therefore, the directive being given by the Bank of Ghana cannot withhold, and therefore we think the governor of Bank of Ghana should come back to do something about that.
A member of parliament is threatening legal action against the Bank of Ghana. The GPHA has come out to explain that in dealing business with foreign vessels, they'll have to transact business in dollars, but Ghanaian vessels will pay cedis. Now, the importers and exporters do not seem to accept this directive. Now, what is the next thing to do?
Right. Well, what we will have to do as an importer and exporter, I think yesterday I heard from other, that is the Ghana Industries Association, the AGI, says that they were going to meet the authority, they were going to meet the authorities with Bank of Ghana in order for them to do what? To discuss things that will bother or things that will not help their members, so that the governor of Bank of Ghana or the board of Bank of Ghana would consider them in this direction. We, from the Importer and Export Association, we already propose to the Bank of Ghana that, look, if any importer wants to withdraw dollars, the level or the threshold that they do that every traveler can only go with $10,000. We believe that if an importer is going to travel out there, by the government of Bank of Ghana asking that or giving the directive that every importer should when you travel there and come back, you have to account. We think that it is not a no-going zone. Therefore, we want to help the Bank of Ghana by controlling the city. Therefore, we are proposing that the governor of Bank of Ghana should come to us from the Importer and Exporter Association of Ghana, take a form of asking us to confirm whether the importer who is saying he's an importer is trying to trade goods is really dependent on importer. Then we will confirm. We will write to confirm that. But indeed, we want to let the Bank of Ghana know that if we do those things and they try to frustrate our members, therefore we can also equally go to the court. I heard.
Right. Samson, hold it there. Samson, hold it there. Let me also try and pick the thought of the Deputy Minister of Education. Now, he's asking pre-tertiary and tertiary institutions to stick directly to the directive from the Bank of Ghana. Mr. Samuel Okujato-Ablakwa has just joined me on phone. Mr. Ablakwa, thanks so much for your time.
Well, thank you too, my brother.
Now, first of all, how difficult is it going to be for the Education Ministry to ensure, to enforce the directive by the Bank of Ghana?
Well, we know it's not going to be easy because there are more than 25,000 basic schools in Ghana. We have more than 250 tertiary institutions in Ghana. But we believe that we have the will and the capacity, and we also believe that in education, all our stakeholders are law-abiding. We are the people who teach people how to read the law, understand the law, and be obedient citizens, good civilians. So I believe that we will receive the cooperation that we need in implementing this directive.
The directive from your end, your ministry is out. When can we see real implementation? When can we see the ministry perhaps taking practical steps to see to it that these things are done?
Well, the directive from the Bank of Ghana takes immediate effect. We are also asking that our reminder, which we issued today, should be obeyed.
Right.
From next week, a task force will be going around to ensure that this directive is being implemented. We have also said that indexing will not be accepted, where the fees are quoted in dollars. But if you have CDs, they will collect. That arrangement is also not the best. It defeats the purpose of this whole arrangement. So we have also said that indexing must stop. So we will be going around. We'll be paying surprise visits. We have asked the Ghana Education Service to assist us with the basic institutions, and National Council for Tertiary Education is assisting us for the tertiary institutions. We have regional directors, district directors in all the regions and all the districts of Ghana. So we have the capacity to be able to monitor and ensure that this directive is being adhered to.
Those who flout these directives, do they get sanctions that were prescribed by the Bank of Ghana, or the Education Ministry has its own sanctions?
For the public schools, they will be in double jeopardy because for the public schools, we have our own sanctions which apply, and then the laws of Ghana will also take them on as per the sanctions spelled out in the Financial Exchange Act. In terms of those in the private schools, we will report them to the security agencies, or hand them over to the security agencies so that the laws will apply. Because as you know, the laws frown on engaging in these transactions in foreign currency without license.
I'm sure you have been reacting to concerns by some groups that seem to suggest that, well, we have too many problems with our education, and so perhaps we need to rather fix those ones instead of going after people charging in dollars. How have you reacted to those concerns?
We are not saying we will leave all what we have been doing. Everybody remembers that even on fees, we have done a lot of work on those who were charging unapproved fees. We went around, we made sure we sanction heads. We have been working on other access issues We've gone around to inspect the sites for the president's 200 senior high schools. Very soon we'll start actual construction. We've been working on quality indicators, how to make sure that teacher absenteeism in Ghana, which is among the highest, around 27%, is brought down. We've been working on equity issues to make sure that the girl child education receives support, affordability issues, and all of that. So we are not going to leave our traditional assignments and focus only on this. We see this as part of our mandate, and we will work together to enforce this task which we have to carry out.
Finally, how critical will be the role of parents and guardians who are being made to pay these fees in dollars?
Very, very critical, because they are really at the direct receiving end of these dollarization. They are called upon to pay. So if they refuse to pay, and if they tell those who want to violate that they will not cooperate with them, if they do not do the right thing, they would report them at the nearest police station, because we are all encouraged as citizens to be law-abiding, patriotic citizens. And citizens can even effect an arrest,
right,
if you look at our constitution. So we want parents to be activist parents who will insist on their rights and insist that the right thing is done.
Mr. Okudzeto-Ablakwa, thanks so much for speaking to us. Deputy Education Minister Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa talking to me on a directive from, or a reminder from the Education Ministry for pre-tertiary and tertiary institutions to obey the directive by the Bank of Ghana not to charge in dollars. And he said that they are not even to quote in dollars and also not to charge in dollars. Let me wrap up with the Executive Secretary of the Exporters and Importers Association. Now, Samson, let's wrap up on this. Now, the Member of Parliament is heading to court. Did you, before I left you, hinted that your association perhaps could also be heading to court on this particular issue? Hello, Samson. Hello, Samson, can you hear me? Well, Samson is... Hello, Samson, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, right.
Right. Just before I left you, as I told you earlier, the Member of Parliament for Abetifi is heading. I'm asking that, I told you earlier that the Member of Parliament for Abetifi is heading to court. And just before I left you, did you give hint of the fact that the Importers and Exporters Association are also heading to court over this particular issue?
Right. I don't know whether is it where I am that the line is not all that clear, but I would like it just if you can just repeat the question a little bit, and I'll pick it up from there.
I'm asking, let me try harder. I'm asking the Importer and Exporters Association, are you heading to court over this issue?
Oh, right. I think I'm having a difficulty.
Right. Samson Asaki is the Executive Secretary of the Importers and Exporters Association of Ghana. Finding it difficult to hear me from there. But, of course, the issue is that a Member of Parliament is threatened to go to court, take the Bank of Ghana on for the directives. The importers are also not happy, even though the Ghana Port and Harbours Authority is saying that only foreign vessels will transact business in dollars, but insisting that Ghanaian vessels will do that in cedis. But the Importers and Exporters Association are so worried about the issue. We'll try and get more on that particular one, but that is wrapping up for the first part of the show. Time now to take a breather and come back and get into the interactive mood with Gladys. Stay with me. I'm coming back in a moment.
At Joy News on TV and #JN Interactive. You could also drop us email via joynewsim@multitvworld.com. Let's get this conversation running right here on Joy News on JN Interactive. My name is Gladys Osei Oredu. So Ghana's reliance on external development assistance to support budget implementation is legendary. But Ghana is not alone. Rwanda is doing well after genocide because of aid. Yesterday, President John Mahama called on developed partners to actually increase their support. Let me quickly refer to a few articles, especially a story that was posted on my Nigeria Online, and then we'll be reading through. Okay, so I'm quoting President Mahama. We do have some short-term challenges with the economy, but everybody agrees the medium-term prospects are good. Perhaps I should do you some good for you to also see what I am reading. So let me catch a breather here. When I come back, I will have it on screen for you to also read along, so you know where exactly we are quoting from. Stay with us. All right, so we are talking whether the Black African is actually ready to manage his or her own affairs. And I was quoting President Mahama, who the article is on MyJoyOnline.com, and we are reading, please increase your support. President Mahama appeals to development partners. So I quickly would go through and read a few places, and then we'll see. Okay, so let me put it on air for you, and then we'll do this together. Let's see. Okay, right. So I was reading from, we do have some short-term challenges with the economy, but everybody agrees the medium-term prospects is good. So we are counting on our development partners to help us overcome short-term challenges. That's according to President Mahama. And then he goes on to talk about quite a number of more things. And then again, another quote from him. He says, so we are counting on our development partners to help us overcome short-term challenges. And in a bid to cushion the economy against further challenges, the president said any foreign intervention will help his government keep its commitment to the poor and other investments, two areas that suffer whenever the economy faces a hit. Now appealing for more aid is not, it's not really exclusive to Ghana. So we have many African countries actually, and this is not a quote from President Mahama. I am actually telling you that appealing for aid is not exclusive to just Ghana. A few more African countries have also been doing same. The African Union is even heavily supported by the European Union, and in the midst of many natural resources, Africa still begs for aid. And Ghana, we have gold and oil. Nigeria is a big oil producer. Liberia has rubber. Sierra Leone has diamonds. This is just to mention a few. Are we a cursed continent? Interestingly, aid comes in several forms and does not necessarily mean it is free. It could be in the form of grant or loans, which is usually tied to many conditions. Not to talk about the times when development partners dictate the pace. Well, let's get interactive right here on JN Interactive. So we have been talking to some of you on the streets to share with us what you also make of the theme, the topic we are discussing here. Some of you have also been posting your comments on Facebook, but now I quickly would be talking to a chartered economist to tell us where he thinks, whether he thinks Africans can ever wean ourselves off the foreign aid that come to us. And I've been told he's joining us online. Right, so quickly, let's cross over to the phone line and talk to Paul Frimpong. Hello, Paul.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Can Africa ever win itself from aid?
Yeah, obviously, that's a big question. I think this is a question that's been on the minds of many Africans like myself. So we try to actually understand what this development aid thing is about. And let me give a little issue on that. This whole thing development aid started in the 1950s. And it's actually a model that was being practiced in the Europe. This was what we call the Marshall Plan. That was in 1947, April 1947. The Americans established this European Recovery Program under the Marshall Plan. So it's actually named after a senator in the United States, George Marshall. So what they did was they put this measure in place called the Marshall Plan, and that they have the European Recovery Program. It lasted for 4 years. America would put their taxpayers' money of $15 billion a year to these European countries, solely because these countries were coming from post-World War II, so they were very, very fragile, very, very fragmented. They were not strong economically. So what they did was that they put $15 billion a year to support these countries. And they depended on it for about 4 years, 5 years, and these countries started developing, so they can see. And now, when it came to 1960, 1970, that was post-colonial period in Africa. So a lot of countries in Africa were coming from independence. So you realize that most countries were very, very fragile. Of course, led by Ghana in 1957, we were independent. So what we did was let's implement this policy, but this time we call it development aid. What they did was this aid was supposed to drive investment, drive development, and reduce poverty. Because it's a thing like that. You have savings, you have investment. The investment will drive development, and then the effect is that it's going to reduce poverty on the continent. And these countries were not strong enough to generate their own internal savings. So what they did was that this development aid money will come to be in place of the savings. So development aid money there supposed to drive investment will drive development, and then reduce poverty. And so we practiced this for about 60 years now. And so why is it that this is not working? And that's actually the challenge. Look, when you look at the Marshall Plan, which was actually created in Africa, where Ghana was included, these countries did not solely depend on the money that was being put there by the Americans to support them. They also tried to find ways and means to actually develop. And I think those means are there that we can all follow.
But you see, I'm still wondering, where really did Africa go wrong?
And let me quickly say this. The aid that we are talking about, we have three kinds of aid. We have the humanitarian aid.
Okay.
Right, these are the help that we get from these development partners in the form of tsunami, when there's earthquake, when there's genocide, when there's ethnic clashes around, like what's happening in Somalia. There was famine in Somalia and the rest.
Okay.
That's a good aid. So that's humanitarian aid.
Okay.
That's what we are talking about here.
And that one comes without strings attached?
No, not strings attached. It's humanitarian. Let's help people out there. We have abundance. Let's help people out there.
Okay.
The second one is more charitable aid. That one comes from wealthy individual in the West or in the Europe. So they thought, I have enough. Let me go out there and donate. So they form their own foundation to support. That's charitable aid.
Okay.
These aid are good, but they are just for the short term. In the long term, trying to reduce poverty in sub-Saharan Africa or in Africa in general, you cannot use this type of aid to actually reduce the poverty.
Okay.
And there comes the third aid. That's what we are talking about here.
Sure.
Where about over $1.2 trillion have been poured into Africa for the past 6 years, and yet we do not see any development on the continent. This aid is where there's government-to-government support. So most countries were depending solely on this grant in the form of aid for about 60% of their budget. If you do that, you create what you call dependency syndrome. What you do is that this money will come, support corruption, sponsor bureaucracy. Governments will abdicate responsibility, provide public service to their people. They sponsor their political party to be in power for a very long time. So you see, they are not able to develop their internal structure, internal market, to be able to generate their money internally. So that's what we want to want. So depending solely on this aid money, that's where we got it all wrong.
I see. Can we ever do without aid?
Yes, but we need to go through a lot of things that we need to do now. I think the first point that I will make is that we need to look at our trade. How we able to improve trade among ourselves. Let's look at the ECOWAS sub-region. We are talking about regional economic integration for a very long time now, over decades now. There are a lot of things that we talked about. There are policies that are in place. But you see, it's more of talking than the work. You go to summits, ECOWAS summits, AU summits, we talk about regional economic integration. Look, the benefit that one can think of when it comes to integrating our market. ECOWAS is about over 300 million people. So if we have a common market, we need to trade among ourselves. Look, trade among Africans stands about 10 to 12%. Whilst to the rest of the world, African trade to the rest of the world around 70 to 80%, which is totally wrong. Why can't we trade among ourselves? Why can't we move goods and services across? Why can't we move people across? But we are limited on this side. So I think trade is very, very critical. Secondly, we have to look at our foreign direct investment. How are you able to position your economy in such a way to drive investor confidence so that a lot of these investors will bring money into your economy? This country depends on foreign direct investment. Let's take the Chinese, for instance. In the last 30 years, 3 decades ago, a Chinese developed a model they call father web economy. What they did was that they opened their market, they opened their economy to this foreign direct investment. But what they did was that when you bring your money, and on investment, about 70% of your money will stay in the economy. They didn't just say that by words, but they put structures in place. They started producing things that they know that these Europeans or these Westerners, whenever they get the money, are going to use to buy in own domestic country. So they provide such things in the country. So you make your investment, you make a return, and you spend a lot of those money in the same Chinese economy. That's what we call parallel economy. So that's what they did. So foreign direct investment is good, but I think the direction as to how we'll be able to maintain a lot of such money in your system is actually a problem. And the third one has to do with domestic savings. How are the financial system like? They used to have a strong financial system, which are very, very open, transparent. A lot of people have confidence in the banking system. Look at the microfinance system in Ghana. A lot of people put their money into this microfinance. At the end of the day, you go there, the officer allow. It's because there is no proper regulation. So you lose confidence on that. And look, if people do not save in the economy, trust me, you cannot have access to money to invest. And that's where we have the talent. The domestic savings to us to be taken into consideration. And this we do that by regulating our financial sector very, very strongly. And last we can talk about the capital market. Of course, we did that in the last year where we were able to actually send some money out through the euro bond. We issue some bond over there, which is actually good. So, and on that, it has to do with your economic fundamentals. If your economic fundamentals are not good, trust me, you go out there, the amount of money you get from the market, you have to pay a very high cost. Because look, like this rating agents that they are having this rating. If you are rated A, you're rated B. You know, when you go out there to borrow money on the capital market, if you're rated A, the cost of your borrowing is lesser than being rated B. You look at the economic structure before you can even go to the capital market to raise money. I think when these measures are done, trust me, we'll be able to release ourselves from this aid development model that's not helping us.
We look forward to that day. Thank you so much, Paul Frimpong. Paul Frimpong is a chartered economist, and he has been sharing with us what he thinks whether Africans can actually win ourselves of foreign aid. He thinks that there's a lot of things we can do and get it right and really completely win ourselves off. So let's see what you have also been saying on Facebook. So the comment as usual, we ask, can African countries win themselves off development aid from developed countries? And you have been sharing some thoughts with us. Kofi Amwa Bright says, yes, it's possible if our leaders put in place good measures, policies and programs geared towards African growth and implemented, thus put the programs or policies into action to our best benefit, because most developed countries have their own source of development from Africa, turning raw material to finished goods, and it's all coming from Africa. Nana Atakra James says, I don't think so. Aram Dede says, it will be a dream come true. There are some Africans on the diaspora, in the diaspora who wish to repatriate and invest in the country, but their frustration is that there are no laws protecting our interest, especially when the JIPC Act does not favor them. Fianu Victor says, of course, if Africa has half of the world's natural resources, then we rather should give the developed nations aid. But from time immemorial, our leaders don't want to think, but they should be told what to do, and all of them are in office because of their stomach. Julius Gales Ehoma says, we go be their boy. he won't write pigeon, so we can learn from them because they are advanced than us. That's what we're talking about, Julius. We also want to get advanced. Karim Dalo says, yes, but not Ghana, because we'll not allow such. Yes, won't pay. Okay, let's see. Abubakar Mohammed says, if only we believe in ourselves. We depend much on developed countries. We need to stop initiating projects based on political motivation. I think with this, we can develop with them. So, of course, once it's not politically based projects and we come and we think of ourselves, well, we would make a headway. Abednego says, it can't happen with this attitude of our leaders, or we should take several years in working on our attitudes before thinking of African countries managing their countries without aids from outside. Let's see. Let me just take my last one here and move on to some other platforms. Joyful Ama says, I doubt, because most of our leaders are myopic, selfish, and neo-colonial minded. That's strong enough. Well, we hit the streets and also listened to some of you who spoke to our cameras. Let's hear what you had to say.
I don't think Africa will ever stop seeking for foreign aids because our leaders are so selfish and they don't think about the country. And we don't have the can-do spirit, so we will never stop seeking for foreign aid.
I don't think we can stop demanding from foreigners because they have certain things that we don't have. So definitely we have to always demand from them to get to a certain level before we can stop demanding from them. The goal that we have, what are we doing with it? We have it, all right, but we don't have the skills, we don't have the expertise that can train us to do that particular thing. So definitely we need to get the people to train us to be able to do it. So maybe in 2020, if by then we're able to get those expertise, then we can just rely on our own resources and stuff without always asking them to tell us what to do with the good and stuff. And then I think that's it. Thank you.
Our heads, our hands, everything. If we start using our resources, we can make a difference. Because we have all the resources. How come we have all the resources and then we still aren't getting anywhere? If we believe in ourselves that we can make a difference, we surely make it.
Yes, indeed, Africa can. But I think we should coordinate and get people with schooled mentality, not just academics, but people with the wisdom, the skills, the know-how. We have a lot in Africa. It's about time we mobilize them and then make sure. Yes, we can. I mean, my answer is simply yes. But with this explanation of just I've given, I think that yes, Africa, in the next few years, if we can be able to mobilize our resources and utilize our resources effectively, I think that we can really go far and advance. We'll do self-advancement rather than depending on these foreign partners. Yes, so yes, we can.
Right, so those are some of your thoughts shared on our streets. Well, let's also see what you have been saying on WhatsApp. So the first WhatsApp comment is coming from Kelvin Smyron, and he says, yes, if only they were able to manage their resources effectively. You mean if only they are able to manage their resources effectively? That's coming from Kelvin Smyron. The next person also that is coming from Bassett Idris. He says, yes, if our leaders are God-fearing and dedicated to their country and to ensure their preparedness to sacrifice for it. So, Bassett, you think if they are willing to sacrifice, it shall get better. Simon says, it will take a long time, but I think that time is now to start. And to do that, we have to change our attitude. So our attitude could be the cause. Well, Francis Issachar says, we can if only we have serious leaders. All right. So that's also from Francis. Let's see. Abdul Rashid Issa says, everything is possible under the sun. It's simply a matter of time. But the big question is when? All the same, yes, we can. That's coming from Abdul Rashid Issa. He believes if it's a matter of time and we will be able to do that. Simon again says, most of us blame our leaders, but I think we all have a part to play. That's a good point, yeah? We all have a part to play. But the sad bit is that if we play our part and we don't achieve results, it becomes difficult. Simon again says we have to start appreciating what we have so that others will appreciate us and cut us off this colonial attachment. Of course, you are how you present yourself. Steven says, it will be difficult. I see. Well, so that's also 7 things. It will be difficult. Benito in Kaiwe says, Ghana will soon get there under JM and NDC. I don't want to comment about this. Benito. Okay. Ayaba John says, African countries can't develop without foreign aid if our leaders do away with parochial interest. So once they do away with parochial interest, we would be able to win ourselves of this European things. Okay, so let's quickly also get back to Facebook and see what you have been saying. Let's continue with some of your comments on Facebook. So Mohammed Bawa says, yes, we can, but until our leaders do the right thing and also stop being beggars for their selfish gains, all in the name of development aid, we as Ghanaians will soon be used as collaterals. A white man will just come to tell you, my guy, turn up, make we go, or Presido don't sell you sense. Okay, so Mohammed, you think we very soon? Janet says, yes, we can. Lord Listowell says, not until they come to a realization of corruption zero, we will still be beggars of the developed countries. Okay, so Ganiyu says, how can we win ourselves with this huge polarized environment? How can we again be able to, when we are not willing to make sacrifices? Every day we run to China for funds. Do we think that they just slept and woke up to find their situation that way? Not until we stop our political motivated criticisms against governments, we shall continue to depend upon nations. We are far blessed with raw materials than, well, I believe you go on and on. Well, Seth Ejanim Boateng says, in others, yes, but in Ghana, no. Why? You're not a proud Ghanaian. Abusa Jackson says, yes, we can do it, but our leaders have to think deep more than this. Why the white people are coming to Africa? It's thought-provoking. We need to think why they keep coming to Africa. Well, McDonald says, at least not now. Okay, Christian Salvo says, well, this is a big question to answer. I think that yes, but it depends on our leaders how to manage what we have well. Once they are able to do that, you think there will be a breakthrough there. Let's see. Kwame Julius says, we can do it, but our unprecedented leaders. Ghana. Well, so Dela Anikla says, yes, African countries such as Ghana can easily win themselves off only if African leaders could realize that the so-called foreign aid is rather economic slavery. How can a country endowed with gold, bauxite, manganese, diamond, arable land, extensive crude oil reserves go to China for loan? It just tells you the kind of leaders we have on this country. Well, let me just take my last one, and that's coming from Majid Awudu from Gusheru. He says, whoever thinks Africa can't develop without developmental aid from the developed countries is an enemy of progress to the black land. So, Majid, you believe we shall be able to win ourselves off. The question is when? How soon are we going to be the independent, black-minded Africans and Ghanaians for that matter? So this is where I draw the curtains on JN Interactive. Thanks so much for your time, Nana. It's time to go.
Well, so let's hear what Dr. Nkrumah said quickly before we wrap up.
There is a new African in the world. That new African is ready to fight his own battle and show that after all.
Right, that's what Nkrumah said. But at 8 o'clock, we'll tell you that the airlifting of 3 students of the University of Development Studies who sustained severe injuries in a fire outbreak in Wa to Accra for further treatment was delayed for 2 hours because there was a lack of an ambulance. The aircraft was to have taken off at 7:45, but it actually took off at 9:45. There was no ambulance to get the patient to the Wa airstrip. We'll tell you more about that at 8 o'clock.
There's also something from the rail sector where it's expected to see a major facelift this year, according to the Minister of Transport, Jifa Ativo. She explains government's priority is to see to the completion of the major railway lines in the country.
And in politics tonight at 8 o'clock, the first group of aspirants seeking to contest national executive positions of the NPP have gone before the party's vetting committee. Those who survive the process will be presented before delegates at the Congress expected in Tamale in Northern Region in April. And thanks so much for having been part of this great show. Thanks so much for having been a great viewer. We're back here tomorrow at exactly 6 p.m. Tarzan Steak is coming up right on your screens. My name is Bright Nanamfo.
My name is Gladys Osei Oredu. Thanks for your time.